Okay, hi. This topic is really important to me because a lot of people get really nervous about it, and there's no reason to if you're prepared and you know what you're doing and you have the correct tips going into it. There's no reason to be afraid of an interview. It's just talking to another person, but it can be really intimidating, and I understand that. So I'm going to give some of my tips. You can take these with a grain of salt. I interviewed to get an internship, and then they kind of viewed the internship as a kind of a 3-month long interview process for a full-time job, and I got offered that as well. So I feel like I know what I'm talking about. Maybe you don't think so or whatever. But a lot of these tips I got from business school, and then also like working in the office and seeing like what would have been weird if I didn't do something. So here's some tips for interviewing. My first tip is to prepare. So you already applied for the job. They already called you back for an interview. The second that you hang up the phone with the HR or recruiter or whoever, thank you, you need to go and Google the company. You need to read recent articles, go to the Wall Street Journal, go to Yahoo Finance. I think they have articles on there. Read recent articles about what's been happening, read about the company. I'm speaking from more of a business side. I was a finance major. I was applying for finance jobs. So I looked at their balance sheet. I looked at their 10K. I looked at their 10Q. Studied the company, know what they're about. The number one thing is to think about their core business. Their core business is how they make money. So what are they doing? So there might be all this other frill stuff that they do, but what is the core business? What is the thing that makes them money? So as you're researching this, as you're researching the company, you need to be thinking about questions that you can ask the recruiter. And this is where you do it when you're doing the research. So you need to find out the core business. You need to start thinking of questions that you're going to ask the recruiter. And you need to think about how you're going to fit, how this job that you're interviewing for fits within the core purpose of the company, the core business. How will your role or your potential role fit into the business? How will you provide value? My second tip after doing your research is to print out the job description and print out a copy of your resume and see which things match up. So these are going to be your talking points for your interview. Take a tip from the politicians that pivot everything. So maybe they go down a track that you're not so familiar with, like they start talking about a skill that you don't really have. Pivot back to a skill that you do have. Always pivot. So you need to have your pivot points. Okay, the stuff that you're really good at. And you know that. You can talk about yourself. That's very easy. But the job description posted for the job should have some qualities that they want, like some soft skills like communication or writing or whatever. Have examples of those that you do those well. And then they might have like specific skills for the job, like Excel, pivot tables, formula use, that kind of stuff. Again, I'm talking about finance stuff, but it could be the same with any job. A writing job, have examples of your work ready to go. Say if you were published somewhere, say that. Say if you have a website, point that out. It's how you match up with the job description. That's what you're doing during this part. You're seeing if you're going to be a good fit for the job. Also, something to remember during this step, you're reading the job description, you're seeing how your skills apply to the job, how you fit into the organization. Is the job good for you? Do you want it? Like I get being desperate, I understand. But is this a job that will enhance your career? That will be a good stepping stone? If it's for an internship, are there full-time opportunities at the company? Would you want to come back? If it's a full-time job, is there upward movement within the company? Is that very easy to do? These are the things that you're thinking about also, but you need to decide when you're in the interview and after. But it's about you too. You're not just going around begging to be hired, you know. It's about a fit on both sides. And the company wants that too. If you're not going to be happy in the job, you're not going to be a very good worker. So they're seeing if you're going to fit in, but you also need to see if you would fit in with their company. Okay, so you're prepped. That's all the prep work. The day of the interview, obviously, this should go without saying, make sure you get sleep the night before, eat a breakfast, eat before, nothing gross, just like get something in you so you're not like passing out. Relax, breathe. Okay, I get being nervous, but you need to breathe. Okay, time to get dressed. Tip 3 is always wear a suit. I don't really care what the job is. You need to be wearing a suit. Unless it's like for an interview at Baskin Robbins. I'm talking about like an interview for a job that you really want at like a company that's like prestigious. If you're going to a place to be interviewed, you need to be wearing a suit. So I'm sorry. That is expensive and it costs money. You can borrow one. I don't know if you can rent them somewhere, like, but you need to be wearing a suit. You need to figure it out and you need to buy a suit and wear one. That fits. That's another thing. That fits. You need to be wearing a blue shirt or a white shirt underneath. I prefer white with a collar. This is called business formal. That's what you're wearing. You're business formal, no matter what. The company, if they have no dress code, if everybody wears jeans to work, it doesn't matter. You're there wearing a suit, okay? It's better to be dressed up than dressed down. You need to look like you really care, like you want this job, like you're the most ambitious person in the world. And while you're interviewing, while you step into the building, from the second you get out of your car and you're walking towards where you're going to be interviewed, from that moment, you are the most ambitious person in the world. You're the best person for this job. Only you want it. If they hired anybody else, they would regret it. So dressing like that is the part. Don't do this, what I'm doing now, because I'm not being interviewed. Don't wear anything too low cut. This is way too low. It needs to be up here. You need to be wearing a collar. No crazy lipsticks. Take out your face piercings. All that stuff. And I'm sorry. I know that self-expression is very important. And I know that's how you want to look and stuff. But just for this interview, you need to look how they want you to look. And I get how that sounds, and I know that it sucks, and like that's how the world is, that the corporate overlords are making us take away our individuality. I get that, but just for the interview, don't go in looking like any sort of crazy. Look like a person that they want to hire, that they want to work there. Once you get into the office, you can see the vibe of like once you get the job, you can feel out the vibe of the office, see if it would be weird to wear this color lipstick. See if it would be normal, establish a connection, establish friendships, establish a connection with your boss, and then you can start doing some of the freaky stuff. You can have a little leeway there, but there's usually office dress codes anyway, and you don't want to be breaking them during the interview process, because then it's like, wow, they're already breaking the rules, they haven't even started. So I'm sorry, I know that sucks, but that's the thing. Okay, so you're wearing your suit. You need to I bring 10 copies of my resume on thick paper. So increase the paper weight, go to Best Buy, buy some paper with a larger weight than regular printer paper. It feels thicker, and if they're skimming through resumes, yours feels like it stands out, like thicker. So you're bringing 10 copies of your resume, you're bringing a notepad. I would bring a pad folio and stick the resumes in the pocket. In the pad folio, you're going to pre-write down your questions that you thought of during your research phase, the questions that you're going to ask the recruiter. That's super important, because at the end, they're going to be like, do you have any questions? And if you're just like, no, they're going to think that you don't care and you genuinely don't have any questions, which I'm sure you do. There has to be something. Make something up. If you're stuck on the questions part, think about their core business. There might be some questions around there. Maybe you have a question about how the industry works or how their business works. Maybe you have a question about how it's set up. Maybe you have a specific question about the job role itself once you get in there. If it's an internship, maybe you could ask if it is more like a trial for a full-time job, if they view it like that, or maybe they don't. Maybe they view like you get your experience in the summer and then whatever after that, but we don't hire a lot of full-time interns. Maybe they think that. Maybe you're graduating at a weird time, like in December, or you're like in the fall, you're going to take night classes, but you need a job during the fall. Explain that to them. You can ask about that then. Okay, so you're in a suit, your pad folio, you have your resumes, always bring a pen, and you're ready to go. So you go into the interview, shake their hand, look at them in the eyes. I know I said that you can't dress weird and they're limiting self-expression, but the way that you can convey who you are is through how you talk to the recruiter and your responses to their answers, right? So I remember I got asked what is your 5-year plan, or what will you be doing 5 years from now? And that's a super hard question. I kind of just I was like, well, You can take a second to answer too. So take a pause. I said, I don't know what I'm going to be doing in 5 years, but I would like to be in an analyst role, probably a senior analyst. If everything I do, every organization that I'm in, I like to be moving up. I'm always looking upward. So in 5 years, if I'm not a manager, I would like to be looking at that or looking at a step higher than an analyst role. And then he asked me, would you be happy? And I was like, well, no, that's not what happiness is to me. Happiness is more like a holistic thing in my life. It goes across all different parts of my life, and just being where I want to in my career wouldn't make me a holistically happy person. And he said that was a very mature answer. So I feel like I showed who I was through my answer of the question. Now, for behavioral questions, you need to answer in the STAR format. STAR is situation, task, action, and result. So for every, what was a time that you had trouble working with a teammate or whatever? Name the situation, say the task you had to do, say the action that you did to solve the problem, and the result that came from it. The result is a very important part because that shows like, and then we got the job done and I got an A on the project or whatever. That shows that your action directly led to a result that was beneficial. So like that translates into at the company, when you do something, there will be a good result for their bottom line. Those are behavioral questions. For technical questions, you're just gonna have to study up. Like you should already have the mindset, I'm the best person for the job, I know this. So when they start shooting you technical questions, relax. You can take a second to think. Don't say you can say, let me have a second, let me think about that. Don't be worried, don't be afraid to like take charge a little bit. Let me think about that question. And then if it's a technical question, if you're worried about, if it's a technical interview and you're worried about it, during your research phase, you need to be also studying up on whatever subject or whatever job or whatever skill that they're going to be asking you about. So at the end of the interview, they're going to ask you, do you have any questions? Ask your questions. Ask, what are the next steps after this, after the interview? When will I hear from you? What is the date I will hear from you by? I asked that and they said, the HR lady's outside and she'll tell you. So I asked her that question, but I was like, thank you for your time. You ask them if they have a business card. That's super important. Ask for their business card. Anybody you came in contact with, you need to remember their names. And like the HR lady I also had her business card. So I was able to email her and I was able to email the man that interviewed me and thank them both for their time. Shake their hands, look at them in the eyes, same thing. Like relax, but you're still being interviewed. You are being interviewed up until the moment that you're in your car driving away. So if there's a receptionist, you smile and say hi. If there's an HR person in between, thank them for their time. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank the interviewer for their opportunity. Shake their hand. You need to be on the whole time. You need to act like, again, you're the most qualified person for the job. You're great to work with. You'll be a great employee. And you're the most determined person in the world at that point. And you're very put together. This is all an act. You're acting for the duration of the interview. Okay, great. So you leave, you go home. Within 24 hours, you need to have sent anybody, you got their business card. So the interviewer, the HR lady, if you interviewed and then you met like the team that you might be on, you probably won't get those guys' emails. So when you're sending your email to the interviewer, you need to say, thank you for your time. I enjoyed talking about this. I would reiterate again. I know I'm good for this position because of this, because of my experience with this. I look forward to hearing from you. And then thank whoever else you met. So be like, please pass my thanks on to the team. It was great meeting them as well, or something like that. Say sincerely, don't say love, and have a professional email. Don't be like unicorn gal 76, like sending your email. I feel like that should be the first step. But yeah, the two main points about this are relax. If you did your research, if you remember what you've done in your life, right? That's what you talk about during the interviews yourself. Now, I'm very good about talking about myself. I don't know about you, but it's very easy to learn how to do. So relax, You know everything you need to know. You can do it. You are the best person for the job. You can kill it. Number 2 is you're always on. You're always being interviewed. You need to be so nice to everybody. Be polite. And this, you should be polite everywhere you go, all the time, to everybody. So this should be, you should just be acting normal, okay? But I know it can be easy to introvert, easy to come in here, but the only way that they get to know you is during this time. So you can't have anything crazy going on your face, none of this, no crazy hair colors, but you can express yourself through talking to the interviewer. And that's the only way that they're going to get to know you and know that you're great for the job. So good luck with whatever you're interviewing for. I hope you kill it. Be respectful. Thank your interviewer for their time, genuinely, and mean it. And I know you're going to kill it. So go out there and smash it. Killing interviews, that is girl culture.